Yeah, one time for your mind. This is Capital City Podcast. I'm your host, Capital J, alongside my main man,
DL Glass.
And tonight, our special guest is one of Greensboro, one of North Carolina's, one of the United States, one of the world's finest MCs, the legendary N-Tyce, payroll alumni. Give it up.
What's up?
How you doing, mama?
I'm wonderful. That was such an awesome intro.
Oh, you like that?
That's what's up, family.
Yeah, I
You
think.
doing good?
Oh yeah, doing real good. I think we touched the bases, you know. Now what I usually do for guests of your stature, I'm gonna give a little bit of a broad, brief intro, and then I'm gonna let you carry on from there. Okay?
Cool.
If you've been following the podcast, you know that we've had a few people on here that are alums of Payroll Records,
Right.
in Greensboro. Back in the day, started by Roland Jones. And N-Tyce is the premier female artist from that label. She went on to have a wonderful career in hip-hop. Now, when I got to Greensboro, N-Tyce was on everybody was talking. N-Tyce.
Right.
You know, she left here and she got a big deal. So since we have you on the phone, we want you to start from the beginning. Tell us how you got involved first with Payroll Records. Then we want to know about the trip from local record label to, I would say, a mid-major onto an actual major, because you've had several different careers, I would say. So
I got started. I used to just be the girl rapper, bus stop, or at school. And when I was in high school, I just used to rap all the time. So everybody knew I could rap. And Eli went to my high school. He was like, I think he might have been a senior and I was like a freshman or something. But he like introduced me to like the Busy Boys, because they were like a real, they had a group and they were doing music, and Fanatic, Dana doing their thing. And so Eli, and back then, which is like the late 80s, it was kind of like girls were on the rise. You had like MC Light and Queen Latifah and Moni Love, and a lot of different Salt and Pepper, a lot of different artists coming out. And so a lot of people, I think, wanted a girl that could rap. So Eli hooked me up with them, and they were with this guy named Grady. He was like, I don't know if he was their first manager, but at the time when I got with them, he was like the manager. It was this guy named Grady. And so anyway, after somehow we ended up getting with Roland. I don't really remember. They could probably tell you more so. But got with Roland. He was this New York guy that could, had a lot of big ideas, and I just rapped. I mean, like I didn't know all of the behind the scenes on what everybody did. I just go in the studio and rap at Dana's house. That's what I love to do every day. Like after school, go over there and make records. Not records, but make music. Because back then it wasn't like, like record. It wasn't like how it is now.
right.
But anyway, that's kind of how I connected with them. And then we did like the compilation album. And I was in high school, and I think they went, like Eli and Fanatic went to New York to shop the compilation album. And that's how I ended up getting a deal with Wild Pitch, because they stopped it there and they wanted N-Tyce. So that's how I kind of ventured off. And then the other artists, like Nyborn, Ski, all of them, Fanatic, everybody just kind of did their own thing, but everybody still got, deals and fame doing their own thing. So that was pretty much the foundation. But I mean, my first song on Payroll, Take It to the Stage, it was a song that Ski actually wrote. Even though I wrote my own songs, back then, he wrote that song and Fanatic produced it, and T-Love was my DJ back then. N-Tyce ended up being my DJ. I mean, it was just brought back good memories, and we had a good time doing it.
Right. Now, for anybody that's been following the show, I want you to notice something. Mm-hmm. There have been a number of people on this show that mentioned their time at Dana's house. Legendary Mixmaster D.
R.I.P.
Yeah, R.I.P. Rest in peace always. My brother for life. Now, if you haven't noticed by now, how many people have come in here and said that at some point in their career,
right,
they were at Dana's house. Ski said it, Fanatic said it, Brandon D said it, Van X said it, everybody, I said it.
Right.
Like Chicago said it.
Yeah.
Everybody who's had anything to do with hip hop in Greensboro, you had not passed through there.
And so let me say this too. I want to give my mom a shout out because I was like 14 and she would take me there and sit in the living room for hours while I was in the room, rapping.
Wow.
And he had the most amazing room. It was a little room, but you couldn't even see the paint on the walls because he had posters everywhere on his wall.
Wow.
Like just from Salt and Pepper to LL, just whoever, because you used to get the little centerfolds and Right On and Word Up, and all of those posters would be on his wall. I mean, it was just the coolest thing ever.
Your young 14-year-old self, where did you pull from? Like, where did your style come from, or what was your inspiration?
Like, I really liked MC Light and Salt and Pepper, but when I was young, I always wrote poetry. And the only two songs that I recorded that I didn't write was the Take It to the Stage, which got me the record deal. So shout out to Ski and Fanatic. Eli, appreciate that. And Dana, much love. Payroll, Rolling, RIP, all that. But I got confused. What was the question again?
About your inspiration and your style.
Yeah. So I really liked MC Light, Salt and Pepper, but the only two songs I didn't write was Take It to the Stage and Funky But Mellow that Mixmaster D did. So then once I signed with Wild Pitch, I got to go ahead and explore my creativity and everything I wrote from there. And just poetry, turning poetry into music and songs. And I just loved all female rappers back then. And I would say that, and I also like New Edition too, because, back then everybody was New Edition fan, all the girls, and they used to kind of rap in their songs too. So, it just inspired me even more. But Salt and Pepper, I think they were probably, I can remember one time when they came to Greensboro, I was like in high school. I think I was like a senior in high school. And they had performed at A&T's Homecoming. And HBCU, largest HBCU, shout out to A&T.
Aggie Pride.
So and my parents let me go, but they were like, you have to be home by 12 o'clock. So, that was my curfew. So I went and they didn't come on stage, and it's like 11:30. I keep looking at the time. My Swatch watch. Y'all remember that? Swatch watch. Yeah, my Swatch watch. It's like 11:30. I'm like waiting for them to come on. They don't come on, and I wasn't leaving without seeing them because I love them, right? So they came on about. It had to be around 1:20.
Oh my goodness! You in trouble?
My mom was in the living room waiting for me. And I got grounded for a week, but I didn't care because I got to see Salt and Pepper.
It was worth it.
Worth every minute.
Worth every minute. So, we talked to a lot of people who came from the Payroll camp, and so many people went on to do other things with other labels, larger labels. So it sounds like you were the first to branch out.
Yes. As far as getting a record deal,
outside of
I was.
payroll?
Yeah. I mean, like out, like a major deal with Wild Pitch. But I mean, we all did. I think I was the first, but everybody like he, had the original flavor, not born. I think he signed the next plateau, and I remember that because I think that it was some cool people on that record label too. I mean, but everybody went out and did their own thing. So, that just goes to show you how much talent we had here. And, you know, and everybody, even though I was from here, and every interview you hear me say I'm from Greensboro, North Carolina, they thought that I lived in New York and I was Muhammad Ali's daughter. Now, how they came up to that conclusion, I think it was probably because he was in Black to the Point, like some scenes of him, and maybe they just connected me like that. I'm not certain, but Greensboro, it's full of talent. Not just Greensboro, but North Carolina in general, full of talent. And it proved that by what we had and what we ended up doing, we just didn't get to do it together, and that's the sad part.
Right. Yeah, I get the feeling when I talk to all of you all that there's a sense of, oh man, what it could have been.
Mm-hmm.
Even though everybody had wonderful careers.
Right.
It's just to think that we were all together at one time.
Well, you know something, the optimistic thinker that I am, I tell Ski this, I tell Fanatic this all the time when I talk to them, that I still see a vision of it happening because they still have talent to produce. I'm a writer, and who knows, we may just, one day make magic happen again. Not us being an artist, but us, discovering the next bit. It can happen. And I always tell them that. I don't think they believe me, but one day, if it does, you're going to play this interview back and be like, she said that.
Right. So, we always like to acknowledge first on the show. So we're gonna brand you as North Carolina's first big deal female MC.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think so. A lot of people, thought that North Carolina might have been P.D. Pablo, and it wasn't J. Cole. It was N-Tyce. That got that deal in New York. As far as a rapper, but I'm just grateful because if it wasn't for Busy Boys and Eli, it wouldn't have happened for me. I mean, like Dana had the coolest hip hop posse and like the coolest movement here. I mean, it's just so much talent. Like we had our own crew. How in New York they had like the Juice Crew, and we had the hip hop posse. And I mean, it was a big crew. And every Saturday, I couldn't wait to listen to. And it might have even been Friday too, 90.1 at the station at A&T because they played hip hop, and I would just have my tape cassette record and everything, and I'd go back and play it, and then let them play Salt and Pepper. Oh my gosh, I'd go crazy.
When I used to come visit my aunt back when I was in high school, I would come to Greensboro, and I would sit in front of the radio the whole time.
Right.
Wasn't it cool?
Yes. Yes, I was sitting in front of the radio the entire time. And I didn't even know who I was listening to.
Right.
But somebody later told me I was probably listening to Texas Pete.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
So I never got a chance to meet him, but shout out Texas Pete.
Right.
Shout out.
And Dana Lucci was on the Big Wheel, right? WEAL. Yep. So
did interviews there, and it's like I can remember it like yesterday. Just fun going up there, and just being able to. Once we started making music here, they would have us up there doing interviews and stuff. We're technically kind of like a baby New York here. At least that's how I looked at it. But it could have been like that at other places too. But it was just fun. Just we were young, and We got to do a lot of shows, like not just here. Like we were all over North Carolina performing, and I mean, I can remember one of my first. Matter of fact, my first time being on stage was at like I was still in high school, and it was like I don't know if it was like a UNCG homecoming or something, but I got on stage and it was like all these college guys and they were trying to pull me off stage. And I was like, oh my goodness, but it was so fun. I mean, it was, like they made sure that they worked, we worked hard together, really coming up with ideas. And Fanatic was really good at that too, coming up with like, stage shows and that sort of thing. But we just had a good time.
Yeah, shout out UNCG Spartans.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Speaking of college, Greensboro is full of colleges. So it's the perfect place to start a career in music because you have people who are going to take your sound back home with them.
Wait. Speaking of college, shout out to Bennett.
Definitely shout out to Bennett. Do you know that's where I met you?
Real? No, I can't remember. Tell me about it.
I'm going to tell you about it.
Okay.
Back in the day, I used to hang with N-Tyce all the time. And N-Tyce was your DJ.
Right.
And I met you one day when Sway was in town. Sway and Tech. Sway.
Okay.
Right.
Sway was in town, and me, N-Tyce, and Sway went over to Bennett.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I met you that day.
Wow. I love Sway. He is like, I go to New York, and not New York, LA. He do interviews, and I mean, he's a cool dude. He was
a big fan.
Yeah.
Of yours.
And I really appreciate that. I mean, he's and he's a huge part of hip hop. I mean, like the just everything. I mean, he is hip hop. Like he's it.
Yep. And to stay on that Bennett note, shout out Bennett one more time. My mom's a Bell.
Okay.
Bennett Bells.
Yeah, Bennett Bell's in the building. So tell me.
I'll tell you, when I got my record deal, I had just graduated from high school. I guess they wanted to wait till I turned 18. I mean, I can remember the phone call. They had left a message on the answer machine. Like, I thought it was somebody was playing a joke on me or something. But, when I first signed, it was, my parents made me go to this thing called Freshman Summer Institute at Bennett. But I was like, I had just signed my record deal straight out of high school. I wanted to go to New York and be a rapper. But, my parents said, well, you're going to go to this summer program at Bennett. And, if you don't like it and you want to go to New York, then we'll talk about it. But you're going to this summer camp at Bennett. And when I tell you, I went there, they dropped me off on the doorstep of Player Hall on my 18th birthday.
Wow.
And I never looked back. It was the best time of my life. Okay. I met all of my girlfriends, and I mean, we have, just been cool since that day at this very moment. That's still like my sisters. Like, I love Bennett. Best experience of my life.
Nice.
And just to tell kids out there or who's ever listening that, you're in high school and you're like, I don't want to go to college. I promise you, it's nothing like high school. You will have the best time of your life ever. Best memories, best everything.
And it didn't stop you from advancing your hip hop career.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and that was a good thing because Wild Pitch, whenever I had to do something, they just flew me up there, and I just came back and went to school. And I mean, I really didn't even. I can remember, I was on Thanksgiving break, and I went up there to shoot the Black to the Point video, like. It was big.
That's my favorite joint right there. Black to the Point.
It was like Kid Capri and Ralph McDaniels, and all of them played it up there. But down here they played Chinese Eyes. But I can remember being on Thanksgiving break at home, and this rap show came on, and Black to the Point came on. I said, "Oh my gosh!" Like that was the first time I was like, "Wow!" Like, because I'm used to seeing like, you know, Big Daddy Kane, and like I'm used to seeing everybody else's videos that I love, and then here I come, and it was amazing. And I didn't even really realize how big N-Tyce was until the next time I went to New York, and I couldn't even go down the street without somebody like, "That's N-Tyce." I mean, so it was just really cool, but I'm just a little girl that goes to Bennett College, you know. But definitely fun experience.
And
nice.
You know, one thing I appreciate from hearing all these stories from all of you guys is the humbleness that's a part of it. And I wanted to take the time to tell you, when you say that you were the first artist in North Carolina to get a major deal, I need you to say it with your chest out. Put some aggression on that, because like Cap said a minute ago, we've had a few firsts on this podcast, and it's an honor to have you up here and to share your story with our listeners.
Well, I appreciate it, and you know, I couldn't do it by myself, so that's why I have to, you know, give a shout out to our crew, because, you know, it was a collaboration that, you know, just got all of us to the point where we are. But and it's a blessing. I mean, I'm just grateful that God blessed me with the talent and to be around the right people for it to happen. But you know, it's just a true blessing to just, you know, to just be able to do it. I mean,
now, real quick for the listeners who may not know about Wild Pitch. Wild Pitch Records, I think at the time, Main Source was on there, right?
No, they came after me.
They came after? They had Gangstar?
Yeah, they had Gangstar and Kill Rob G. I don't know if you remember the Power.
Oh, come on now. I'm a absolute.
No, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the people.
Okay. I was getting to say I have had to almost have a fight to keep Chill Rob G in my top 10.
Yeah, but you know, it was like a battle between the Power record, because it was somebody else that had the Power, exact same song, but you know, different. Same beat music and everything.
The original was Chill Rob G, though.
Right.
Yep, it was the remix, the Power remix.
And Lord Finesse, and he was like, "Oh my gosh!" I mean, to me, he was one of the best lyricists. But
hold up, you can't just say Lord Finesse. You got to give a shout out to Mike Smooth too.
Okay, shout out to Mike Smooth too.
Lord Finesse and Mike Smooth at the time. On Wild Pitch.
Yeah, Lord Finesse, and I mean, he was just, I love he was just a lyricist, and yes. I just love his lyrics. But you know, the cool thing is we had that too. Like Ski to me was, you know, a better lyricist, just as good as a lyricist as a producer. Like his wordplay and all of that. Like, I mean, I feel like if our crew at that time lived in New York, we would be the biggest thing. We would be like bigger than Latifah's Flavor Unit. And we were just in the wrong, well, really, to me, it's not, because I love North Carolina. I love being from Greensboro. I wouldn't trade nothing. But I just feel like, you know, hip-hop was just up north. It wasn't, you know, we kind of just.
Right. You had to travel to be a part of it.
Yeah, you had to. Because it wasn't like it is now, but definitely the foundation part of it anyway, and it's a blessing as we celebrate, you know, 50 years of hip hop. That's crazy.
Indeed. Now, during your time at Wild Pitch, you had a record called Hush Hush Tip, and at the time, none of the guys from Wu-Tang were really doing features like that, and you showed up with a song with Method Man on it. How did y'all work that out? How did that come about?
So, you know, I'm still in college, and I go up there for I don't really remember what I went to New York for at the time, but I can remember, I think I might have been with Sincere at it was some sort of MC Light party. There was a lot of industry parties at the time. And, you know, they would always have me out at places when I would go. I'd only be there for a couple of days, but, so anyway, this particular time when I'm in New York, like you see all of these yellow, like I think it was like black and yellow stickers all over New York that said Wu-Tang. And I mean, I didn't know what Wu-Tang was, and I was like, you know, I didn't think anything of it. I just saw it. So anyway, at that party, I think we ran into my boy Rakeem, which he was called Prince Rakeem, which is RZA. And I know him through Sincere because him and Sincere were really cool.
Shout out Sincere.
And, yeah, and so so when I saw Rakeem, he was like, "Hey, N-Tyce, what's up?" You know, because we hung out a few times when I would go with Sincere. He would always be with Sincere. So anyway, I was like, "What you up to?" You know, because he had that "I Love You, Rakeem." You remember that song? I know you do.
They had the video. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but totally different from like Wu-Tang. So I said, "So what are you doing now?" He said, "You know, I'm Wu-Tang." I said, "Oh, so you're Wu-Tang." So I was like so happy that I knew Wu-Tang, but I didn't know it was like a whole crew, you know. But I was like, "Oh, I see. Like that's all I see in New York is like Wu-Tang." But then, you know, I got to really learn what Wu-Tang was. But we ended up at the studio, and Divine, which is Fourth Disciple, you know, produced Hush Hush with RZA, and like it was a part that I wanted a guy to rap on, and like I didn't know all of the Wu-Tang at that particular time. I just knew Rakeem and Genius, which is Jizz, their cousins, because Genius would hang out too with Rakeem, and so it would be him. I knew him, and I think it was like a room full of all of these guys, right? So I didn't really, I hadn't heard Protect Your Neck down here. You know, it was like really big up there.
Still a New York record.
Anyway, long story short, I can remember when we were in the studio. So, because I was just trying to come up with new material, and Fourth played me a lot of good stuff that I like. He's an awesome producer. Shout out to Fourth Disciple. So anyway, they were all in this room, and Method Man was like, "Yo, come here, Tyce, look at this." And he popped in a VHS tape, and he played METHOD, man, hey, you get off my, like, it was a video for it. I was like, "Oh, that's cool," you know. So it hadn't even come out yet, but I kind of hung out in that room for a little bit. Then I went back into the studio, and it was like a guy part that I needed a guy to say. So I just went in there and asked him to do it. He came in there and did it, and that's how it happened.
Wow, that's dope. That's dope. You know, funny thing about that video, when that video came out, my grandmother in Tarboro looked at me and said, "Why is Jerome on the TV acting crazy?"
You know, I hate that he didn't get to do the video because I think they were like out of town that particular weekend, and I had, you know, I wish that you know he could have been a part of that. But just real cool people, like love Wu-Tang and that whole and really you know, it's crazy how all of the Deadly Venoms and all of that transpired. But you know, that happened like the next year or two after that. So
yeah, let's talk about how did you go from N-Tyce, the solo act on Wild Pitch, to being part of the Deadly Venoms. What was it, A&M?
Yeah, like that was our first deal with A&M. So, which I was super excited because I was like, like John McClane, who is like, I'm not certain if he still is, but the executive of Michael Jackson's estate, signed us to A&M Records. And real cool guy, but I guess as a artist, I was just super excited because I always remembered A&M Records as Janet Jackson's Control album. Like that was her, first label where she, really just took over her career. So I was like, wow, I'm on the same record label as Janet Jackson. Like, how cool is that?
Right.
But it was really good because we had like Shaq, had done an album and working on an album and Corrupt, and we got to be a part of those projects, and it was just good times. But I hooked up with Deadly Venoms because Storm, which I knew Storm, he's a producer, and I used to see him in the studio all the time. So anyway, one day he called me up. He's like, "Yo, I'm in North Carolina." He's like, "Yo, N-Tyce, like, I got this group. He's like Deadly Venom, like, and Wu-Tang was, big then. At this particular time, he's like, "Yo, we want to do like a female Wu-Tang called Deadly Venom." That's like, all right, cool. Like, I'm cool with it. So they flew me up there, and we were recording at some studio in New Jersey. And I met all the girls, which it was more girls at that particular time.
Than it ended up being. So that they started off as more.
Yeah, it was. Well, I'm gonna say about maybe 6 or 7 girls, and then it kind of just ended up being the 3 of us, and then me, J Boo, and Finesse, which I was cool, like loved Finesse because I was a huge Finesse and Quiz fan. So here I'm like, wow, I'm in a group with like Finesse from Finesse and Quiz. Like I bought y'all cassette tape. Like,
yeah,
love it. Y'all had the MCM song in the videos. Like I thought they were the coolest girls ever.
Sister, soul sister. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Right. So to be in a group with her, and I mean, real nice lyricist.
Yeah, she was cool people. I remember meeting her with you one time when we were in Reno.
Hmm.
Yep.
Okay. She actually, well, not Finesse, but J Boo actually lives out in Vegas.
Word.
But
and wasn't Champ MC in there too at one time?
Yeah. So no, she's still a Venom. Like, that's what I was gonna say. So it was just J Boo, and I thought J Boo, like I had never met her because she was like the newcomer, but she was from Queensbridge, and like, Queensbridge had like Nas, AZ, and like Roxanne Shante, which also shout out was one of my favorite MCs. I mean, lyrics. I mean, I used to rap her all day long. Like when when she came out, every song I had to hear it. Every song I had to learn it. Like I thought I was Roxanne Shante, but so just J Boo being from Queensbridge, I knew she had it. Just because that history there. So we were in the studio one day, and Storm was like, "Yo, I got this other girl, like Champ MC," and of course I remember Champ MC because she had the record "Keep It on the Real."
Right.
That I remember, they used to come, our video used to come on and stuff. So I remember her. Didn't know her, but she came to the studio, and we just vibed, and it was just a group from there. And it just clicked, and we all still sisters to this day.
Hey, that's what's up. I'm glad to hear y'all still keeping together, keeping close.
And what's cool? I think like New York, they did a lot of cool things for the hip hop artists there, and I'm like, what about North Carolina? Like being the first hip hop artist to sign outside of here, to a major label in New York that was like the
Right, a big deal.
Yeah, like they had done any. Well, I don't know. I'm just saying, like for the founders, like I think that Payroll and all our artists, like the mayor of Greensboro, needs to come and give us some plaques and
right. They need to change. They need to change East Market Street to Payroll Boulevard for at least for a little while.
Governor, they need to recognize that because they did that for the artists in New York because Champ got recognized and I thought that was like really cool, but it was the Bronx that did it for her and some of the New York State representatives. But I'm like, where are North Carolina representatives? They've done nothing, for the artists that started it here. But it's all good. I mean,
Right.
No, it's not all good. It's not all good. This subject has come up before on this show, especially this year with 50 years of hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
And so during this year, with all these celebrations and commemorations and all of this stuff going on, there hasn't been any recognition of the contributions of Payroll that you've been a part of this year?
I have. I'm just speaking for me. I'm not certain about the others, but I haven't been. And I feel like, being just us being the foundation and the work that the boys put in, Busy Boys and Eli put in, and Payroll and, Bad Rap Not Born, all that work that they put in, because they were the older ones that went out and pushed this,
Right.
It used to be something.
I totally agree. And like I said, this is not the first time this has come up. Right. And I think it's an issue. We did one show and I said, hey, they spend so much time honoring all these people that came after during this year. And I was telling DL one day on the podcast, I was like as a DJ, I can't take my flowers until K-Nice get his flowers.
Right?
You feel me?
Right.
Yeah.
And until, we can't even start the conversation by honoring, like, you see what they did in the Bronx.
Right. Right.
Like, we can't, and it's, as much as J. Cole and Petey Pablo and Luke Nasty and Colonel Loud and the list goes on.
Right.
As much as they've done, like, it starts with the Payroll posse.
And the dialogue starts right here on the Capital City Podcast.
And the dialogue starts right here.
So I hope y'all paying attention.
Well, I mean, it is what it is, but I'm just grateful that, shout out to my Deadly Venoms crew, and, they definitely did it for Champ in the Bronx. So, I'm proud for them to recognize that because, it's a huge thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it is.
Well, I think so many artists and producers from New York, the mecca of hip hop, need to pay homage to North Carolina too, because North Carolina's contribution to hip hop goes so much further than what people realize. Like we had Tony Crush
from the Cold Crush Brothers
on early in our podcast, and how we came about that is because my brother had a death in his family, and then his family members kept telling me there was somebody they wanted me to meet, and I'm like, who? And I called Cap, and I'm like, do you know who Tony Crush is? And he was like, no. And then I was like, well, what about Tony Tone?
I was like, hell yeah, I know who Tony Tone is.
And Tony Tone has roots in North Carolina. And, that was one of the first, if not the first group to sign a major deal in New York.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Mm-hmm. And so many, so many producers behind the scenes. Disco King Mario, when you talk about the first DJs, hip hop is started on the back of the DJs. And whenever they talk about a Mount Rushmore hip hop, the people they always throw out to put on the Mount Rushmore is DJs. Herb, Grandmaster Flash, Bambaataa. And Disco King Mario is from Edenton, North Carolina. And his name is, if you watch some YouTube videos of, various people from back in the day talking about who was really influential, you'll hear his name over and over again. So, we've been importing or exporting our sound for a long time.
Yes.
Well, I mean, the thing is, if it wasn't for the DJ, who would play our records? I mean, like,
right.
Y'all are a huge part of everything because, we don't make music just for us to, sit in our room and listen to it. Y'all get it out there. I mean, that's huge. And I've always been a fan of what you do, Capital J.
Oh, well, thank you.
The world, too.
Thank you.
Shout out to you, homeboy.
That's what's up. That's what's up. I know during the time of the Venoms was the time I was going to a lot of conventions, and I used to love to run into you because that was my taste of home. I was like, there goes N-Tyce. I know who I'm rolling with for the next few hours,
Right. That was always fun. I used to love all of the conventions too. Like, I mean, it was just so much fun. Just good times, good memories. And, years later, all of that stuff kind of changed. But,
so
it was fun. It was fun while it all lasted. All of those rap conventions everywhere, like all over. We were there.
One thing I want to talk about with you is we talk about this a lot, about how female MCs back in the day wouldn't dare overly sexualize themselves. And, all those female artists that you mentioned that you enjoyed back in the day, I was telling DL one day, I said, like, you can't really describe any of their bodies because they didn't come out being overly sexual.
Right.
Like, you never seen, you don't even know if they got tattoos.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And to see things change, like, and N-Tyce is another one. You go right on the list with, Salt and Pepper, Roxanne Shante, The Brat, even all the way up to Lauryn Hill and Rhapsody.
Well, I've seen Pepper's body.
Yeah, Salt and Pepper probably, and I would say Salt and Pepper and JJ Fad were the only people who would even go as far as wearing the spandex suits.
I was talking about the bathtub scene.
Yeah, I mean, like if you remember the Hush Hush video, like some parts I was kind of like the harder MC, but then some parts they tried to cute me up, but then they had a lot of the girls in the background and kind of cutesy up too. So I think that I'm not certain, but I would kind of say it was one of the first videos that kind of brought that appeal to the game.
Yeah, I remember when that song came out. I said, "Look at N-Tyce being provocative." but that's tame. Yeah, that's tame in comparison to what's out here today.
Right.
Like even then, like if you think Hush Hush Tip was a stretch then.
Mm-hmm.
Look at where it's gone. Look where it's come to, or what it's come to now.
Right.
And so we also want to give you flowers for maintaining an air of respectability.
Mm-hmm.
Like anybody I talk to, it's not like, N-Tyce out there. No, N-Tyce is well respected.
Right.
If N-Tyce had been out there then, N-Tyce would probably still be out there now. You know what I mean? Like, because all of the people, I'm not going to say that, but all I'm going to say is I appreciate it, and my parents raised me very well, and I'm grateful for my upbringing and the respect that I have for myself. And, I'm just grateful for how I'm appreciated for my music and not anything else, so
right.
I'll leave it at that.
Right. Now, we'll say all the guys did have a crush on you.
Aw.
Yeah. Yep. Everybody, all the dudes, like, man, N-Tyce. And then N-Tyce would show up. Everybody get quiet. But that's part of the respect.
Right.
You know, so behind the scenes, everybody's talking about how nice looking N-Tyce is and how they would love to be her boyfriend. But when she shows up, everybody just shut up.
Right.
Because, you know, you have this level of respect.
Absolutely.
You think that Sexy Red walk in the room, like Sexy Red get carried off stage and the security guard grab her butt.
Right.
That's not happening to N-Tyce.
Right.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that respect goes a long way, and I saw it firsthand. You know, people respected you, and they respected a lot of the female MCs. Y'all weren't talking about, you know, it wasn't raunchy.
Right.
It was the kind of music you could play for your parents. And we just talked a couple of weeks ago about the importance of having fathers.
Right.
Or both parents in the household, or even just good parents in good direction. And a lot of people making music today don't have that. So they don't have anybody. Like, if you know that somebody's going to be ashamed of what you do, you carry yourself a little bit different.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm grateful that I was raised with my mom and dad and my brother. And, you know, I was just, you know, and I, you know, being from the South too, you're kind of raised a little differently. But, you know, I'm grateful for my upbringing and, you know, how I was raised. Because no one knows what they're born into. You know, you're just born and you have to go with the flow. But I'm just grateful that my situation was amazing. Shout out to N-Tyce. Amazing.
Yeah. We talked about that record with Ski. No, not Ski. We talked about it with Fanatic. I talked about Amazing with Fanatic, the live version. Mentioned that we just released that episode not too long ago.
Right.
And it's funny you brought that up because I definitely got to get a hold of Omniscience. That song was amazing.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely. We're gonna make that happen.
So, tell me, what do you think when you hear today's female artists?
I actually love all the female rappers that are out. I don't. I just love. I'm grateful that females now have a voice because, you know, back in the day it was really, we were like the underdog, but now I kind of feel like, and I like all the music, you know, because everyone has the right to express themselves how they want to. And I'm just grateful that females are being recognized for making good music, and people are liking it, regardless of what style it is. You know, that's what's winning. It's working, and I enjoy all the female rappers out there. Shout out to all of them.
So you like Pound Town?
Downtown, I like it.
So
I'm gonna support females because one thing, when I was coming up, right, they tried to put us against each other because Take It to the Stage was a diss to the real Roxanne, not Roxanne Shante, but it was a diss to the real Roxanne, right? Telling her to take it to the stage because I was much better than her, and you know, you had the battling going on with like LL, Kumo D, and you know, they're like, well, you can take on real Roxanne. So that's how that song like came about. I don't know if you know, real Roxanne, let's take it to the stage. Like that was a diss. So like hip hop back then were people just coming out dissing each other. But now
Salt and Pepper started like that, dissing Dougie Fresh. Showstopper.
Right.
Wow.
And Roxanne Shante, you know, the I think it was KRS-One, you know, and the beef with them.
And shout out Mr. Freeze one time. He brought Roxanne and Sparky D down to do a show way back in the day. So that's another
right
battle set up, Roxanne and Sparky.
So they put us against each other. So like for females to be like, I love hearing the female collaborations. with all of the top female rappers, because if this was back in my era, they would all be in it, you know? So it's a good thing to see unity amongst the female rappers. And the music is good. I mean, so you have to have diversity. You know, when I was coming up, I mean, we had like a Wu-Tang, but we also had like a Tribe Called Quest and a De La Soul and a Far Side. I mean, so we had so many different, you know, types of music, and I feel like females are beginning to be able to express themselves and be feminine, and it's okay. It's cool.
Right. And today, I would argue that, you know, when you said they're winning, they're not just winning, they're winning.
Winning, right.
Like, you know, when you think about the biggest artists out right now who have come around in the past 3 or 4 years.
Right.
Not, you know, because, of course, you got your J. Cole's, your Drake's, your Lil Wayne, but these guys been around for 10 years. Future.
Old heads now.
They're literally old heads now.
Right.
But when you think about new artists running the game, it's people like Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B.
Right.
You know, it's the women are actually running the show. Lotto, Coi Leray. Who, when you cut on the radio,
right?
It's
that's what I'm saying. I mean, to me, as a female artist, it feels good to hear kind of a balance, you know, because it was very sporadic when I was in the game.
Right. Was it tough? Like, I know that hip hop was so male dominated back in the day that you can't help but constantly be around male energy. And you know, I've been around you and the guys before, and I think you know you just fit right in. Mm-hmm. But was that hard for you to do, or was it pretty much easy because you always seem in your element?
Well, I mean, you have to understand that I was the only female in payroll, you know, so
right.
I was groomed used to that, because when I would be at Dana's, I was the only girl, and you know, I had girl dancers and stuff like that. But as far as rapping, it was a couple of other female rappers too, but in the very beginning, you know, it's just me and the guys. So when you love music, nothing else matters but the music.
Right. So did you have a Me Too moment, or were you safe from that?
No, I've never had a like. Mm-hmm. I can't, you know, put myself in that equation, but you know, I feel for the ones that have those.
Right.
Right. That goes. I mean, it's not always just the way you carry yourself, because some people are gonna throw anybody under the bus and try to take advantage of anybody. But I can attest that you know, N-Tyce carries herself in a way that is not open to that. Like, you know, if you're taking it there, you're dead wrong. You know what I'm saying? Right. And you know, I never seen you invite that type of attention. So
right.
So
I appreciate that.
I have a question that's unrelated, but so what's your morning regimen like? Do you do the warm lemon water, hot tea? Because listening to you now and listening to you back in the day, your voice is exactly the same. Like, how'd you keep that up?
I have no idea. Like, no, I don't do, like, I do love a honey citrus mint tea from Starbucks, but maybe we can get endorsed, y'all. But you know, I do love those, and I guess this is just my voice, you know.
Right.
I do nothing different, you know. In the mornings, I'm in the bed looking at TV, and until I have to be mommy and take my kids to school.
Okay.
Right on.
I had to ask.
So okay. We've been kind of following a timeline here. Okay, there are two things that I want to know from an information perspective and for the listeners. One is, as Wild Pitch, how do you move from Wild Pitch to A&M? Is that a situation where you had a deal and the time was running out, or did the Venoms situation become available and you had to do something to get released from Wild Pitch? Like, how do you move from one label to another?
So something happened with Wild Pitch, and I think they went with EMI Records, and they did some sort of transformation. I don't really remember, but I know I had recorded an album called Single File, and sadly, with all of the changes, it was never released.
Oh.
I think I think you could probably get it online, but it was the N-Tyce solo album. I mean, it had Hush Hush. I mean, it had me and my big sister Moni Love on there. Did a duet. My boy Killer Priest from Wu-Tang. Me and him did a record. I mean, it was a cool album that a lot of politics play into albums not being released. Even the first Deadly Venoms album on A&M didn't come out. I mean, you could probably, like I said, get it, I think. But so I don't know. I mean, it's so I was done with Wild Pitch once I got with the Deadly Venom. So it was a blessing to like move from being a solo artist to being in a group.
Right.
And being in a group with a bunch of girls. Wow, how cool is that? Because I've always been a fan of female rappers.
Right.
So, to not only be in a group, but to be in a group with all female rappers, and I love female rappers, and, I thought it was awesome.
Cool. So you didn't have to do anything to make, like, legally or anything to make that happen. It was just time anyway.
That's right.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Timing.
So after the Venoms album does not come out, what do you do? What happens then?
So the first Venom album didn't come out. It was like a lot of stuff going on. So we ended up we had recorded one more the first album from A&M. We recorded that out in California, and actually we did the second one too. We ended up the albums that we featured on with like Corrupt and Shaquilla, like Shaq. Those albums I think came out, and we were featured on those. But when it was time for our album to come out, it didn't.
That was like a compilation type deal.
No. Shaq's album was called Respect. It was just his album.
Okay, that's right. He was on A&M. I saw y'all in the showcase one time, right? The A&M showcase, yeah. Right?
Yeah, and then Corrupt. It was his solo album. He wasn't with that Dash from Dog Pound. It was like Corrupt solo album, Corruption. So the Deadly Venoms are featured on that album as well as Shaq's album, Respect. And we did a lot of things together out there while we were out there, but we ended up going with DreamWorks.
Okay.
Records. Gerald Buxby, RP to him. And then we did like another album. But anyway, long story short, that didn't come out either. And so the album that did come to light and come out was Still Standing album that Storm worked his way to get that album out. And I think I was back here by the time that came out, but it was just me, Champ, and Jay Boo on that particular album that did, hit the shelves, literally, because back then they were still hitting the shelves. But you can still go online, I'm sure, and get the albums from the Deadly Venoms that didn't come out from the big labels. But they were really, it was a lot of good music on there, and
Right.
it's sad, like a lot of politics behind the scenes, and then some issues that I'm not even going to get into between, you know, people had nothing to do with me, but you know, when you're in a crew, you know,
You
gotta
want the
work.
scoop. We want the tea.
Right.
It's gotta work. So, you know, that's all. You know, I'm not the type to. I'm a positive energy person, so
Right.
you're gonna only get positive energy coming from me. So,
Well,
you know,
for the listeners that don't remember, they had this dope Sprite commercial.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that Sprite. The
now
Venoms.
that was like the other girls. It wasn't us, but that was kind of a like.
Oh, that was a knockoff. That's what it was. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I remember.
It was all girls, and I didn't have a problem with that because I liked all of them, and you know, it is what it is. But yeah, it was a knockoff.
Oh, well, I take back what I said. I'm gonna edit that right out. That wasn't dope at all. So okay. Now we're gonna fast forward a little bit because we talked about all kind of topics on the show, and it's not just about the artists in their heyday. We're trying to, you know, explain to people that there's life after the music too. And so, you know, tell us a little bit about what happens after and what made you decide to move forward in another direction. Like when do you say, instead of spending 24/7 on music, I spend 7 hours 3 days a week? You know, how does that happen? And tell me about your transition.
So I spent, you know, ever since I was very young doing the music thing, and I always wanted, you know, to be married and have a family. And so one day, like we were all living out in California, and I ended up coming home to be in a wedding for one of my high school besties from high school, R.I.P. to Tanya. And so that like time period when I was home is where I met my husband. And I didn't ever want to go back to California or New York. Like I fell in love and never stopped doing music. I mean, I would still go and he would support that, and you know, but I wanted to, you know, be married and have a family, and I'm grateful that I had that opportunity. I you know, used to rap about being single with no kids, and now I rap about, you know, being married and the blessings that God has given me, my 2 kids, and you know, you change directions. Like I really, I came out with an inspirational album a couple of years ago, and like as an artist, and I don't know if you feel this way as a DJ, but as an artist, like music, like I'm gonna always be a rapper, like forever. Like as long as I can pick up a pen and write, I'm gonna write, because it's kind of me just venting to me. Like
right. I understand totally.
I care less, you know, like it's what I do and I enjoy doing it. So it's something I always do, but it's fun to mature and make good music, like just inspirational. Like I feel like you know, nowadays it needs to be a certain type of variety of hip hop instead of just one particular thing. Like you can also have some inspirational music that's just as good as the other stuff that can maybe give a positive message. So, you know, that's my goal, and I feel good when I do it. So I'll keep doing it. Is you know, you still see Patti LaBelle performing,
Right,
so
right.
I'm gonna keep doing what I do because that's what God blessed me with.
And a lot of artists, as we mature, you know, we get into a different space, and you're not by any means the first artist to go inspirational.
Right.
You know, over time, I know that Salt had dabbled in some inspirational music here and there, and you know, you had a couple of people left 3-6 Mafia and got into inspirational music.
Right.
So, you know, that's a sign of maturity. You know, when you're young, you just, you know, you do it for the gram, and when you're older, you're doing it to change lives.
Right.
But you're still doing your thing. What's the name of your most recent album?
Food for Soul.
Food for Soul. Can we find it on all platforms?
You should be able to. Yeah, it came out like probably right. It really didn't get to do like all that we had planned because of COVID. Like hit right during that time. I think maybe a month or so before it. We came out with it. But good album. To me, it's I'm still who I am, and I don't know, like sometimes I go back and listen to some of my music from back in the day, as well as the music I recorded with Deli Venoms, and I've always been inspirational to me. Like if I listen to my lyrics and I'm like, wow, I'm still saying guaranteeing y'all that God bless on a Deli Venom track.
Right.
Think about it. You never heard me say a curse word. You might have heard them, but you never heard me curse on them records.
Nah, you don't need clean version for N-Tyce.
Mm-hmm. You don't. My mom taught me that like years ago. Like now, you might find something that maybe long time ago where you felt like you had to because everybody else was doing it. But my mom said, you that's not who you are. And it wasn't. So I said, okay. I never did it again since probably the 80s. And even when I did, it didn't even sound right to me because that's not who I am. Like, I've always been a positive energy type of person. So if you really listen to my lyrics, you'll hear that. So technically, it's still no different with my inspirational music because I'm still trying to inspire.
Right, right. Well, you're doing a good job. You're doing a good job. Your career has been very inspirational, and
yeah.
And see, you were able to get to this space without having to pivot too much.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't know. You remember a girl named Jackie O from Florida? She had a song called Nookie.
But I remember the name, not the song.
Well, I know she's been doing inspirational music, but she's done a 180 from where she was. Keedy Black from New Orleans, kind of like a bounce artist. She's on the inspirational tip now.
Right.
So there's a lane for it, and I'd like to see. I'd like to see and hear more of that because that's what younger artists need to see. They don't need to see people our age making music about smoking and drinking and having unprotected sex.
Right.
Because they feel like that's what their future's going to be, and that's not what it should be.
Right.
It's definitely a market for, all music of all ages to inspire. So, that's what I do. I write from the heart, and whoever listens. I don't make it for everybody. I make it for me, and then if others enjoy it, cool.
Right.
That's how.
So, you have any Any favorite stories you want to tell us about? Some of your favorite moments in the game? Because I know you've been on a lot of stages with a lot of different people. You know, who was your favorite, some of your favorite people to have worked with or around? Outside of the payroll posse, of course.
I've enjoyed everybody that I work with, but I think that one of my favorite moments now that, things have happened the way it has is meeting Biggie when I was in Philadelphia one time. And, he was going to come out with his album and he was like, yo, N-Tyce, he said, I love Hush Hush Tip. That's my joint, and he said, matter of fact, I just recorded Rap City and when they asked me what video I want to see, I said Hush Hush Tip, right? And I didn't believe him. I'm like,
wow.
really? He was like, yeah. And so he said, yeah, it's coming. Like he told me when it was when it was gonna air and stuff, and I watched it, and sure enough, it was what he said. And I think that it's like the Hush Hush Tip, I think kind of inspired some of the records that he did on that type of vibe. But that was a huge, now that he's no longer here, and I mean I had, he was a fun person, and I just think back a lot of times where we used to hang out together, which was cool. But
and y'all had something in common,
right?
Y'all both brought Method Man to his first features outside of Wu-Tang. Think about it. When Biggie's album dropped, the What, that was the, like, outside of Hush Hush Tip and the What, you and Biggie were the only people to, at least that early in the game, to include Wu-Tang artists, specifically Method Man,
right,
on your tracks when nobody else was able to get that done.
Dope.
You get an award for that, because I never even thought about that.
Yeah, and Biggie spent some time in North Carolina.
Hey, and when you think about Fanatic end up producing Crush on You.
Right.
And you talk about how much he liked Hush Hush Tip, and think about the way that Method Man is in the hook. He did the same thing, the same type of energy on that song.
Mm-hmm.
Method Man, I won't tell if you won't tell. Nowadays, you got to keep it on the hush hush. And here's Biggie. I know you see me in the video. True.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's something that I will never forget. And I can remember being in New York and Staten Island, working on music when I heard about him, and just sad because he was really a talented, cool artist that had a lot more to do.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just grateful that I got to know him. And as a matter of fact, when I was in college, I stayed at NYU for the summer before my senior year at Bennett with some girls that had just graduated from Bennett. And we stayed at NYU, and I got to work on music. That was kind of like my internship for school. So I got to do a lot of music. But Jesse West, which I know through Sincere too, he came and picked me up, and he said, I got a studio session. You want to come? I said, cool. Came and picked me up and went to the studio because he was doing a song with Biggie. And it was Biggie and Tupac. And Poetic Justice, it was like the summer before Poetic Justice came out, because all over New York is like all these signs with Janet Jackson, Tupac for that movie.
Mm-hmm.
But so I got the pleasure to see Biggie and Tupac together as friends, and they made a record called House of Pain that Jesse West produced.
Wow.
I don't know if it's out. I don't know if you'll ever hear it, but I was there. I met Tupac, and they were actually cool and recorded a record together, and I can say that I was a part of that because I witnessed it.
Wow.
Nice platinum moment right there.
North Carolina, I hope you're paying attention, man. This is the Capital City podcast right here.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Any more moments like that you want to reminisce on?
So yeah, the time I was at Bennett and I met Capital J when he was with Sway and N-Tyce, and I'm just joking.
Yeah, I rode down to Charlotte with y'all one time you had a performance at this club called City Lights, I think it was called. And I rode down there to Charlotte. Now, mind you, I'm just a dude hanging with N-Tyce. I'm a DJ.
Yeah.
But I'm not on the radio yet or any of that stuff. So I'm sitting there like, this is awesome.
Right.
This is awesome.
N-Tyce, like, just was huge. I mean, I can remember, him being the DJ when I had those huge shows at the Greensboro Coliseum with like Sweet Tea and Houdini and just a lot of Kumo D, like a lot of big artists to us at the time, and N-Tyce did his thing, and my super duper DJ T Love when I did take it to the stage, but it's a lot. It's a lot of cool people behind the scenes for these artists, and I just want to shout them out.
Hey, no doubt. Here goes a funny story for you. I remember N-Tyce when we were staying together. I remember N-Tyce practicing for one of your shows one time. I'm just sitting there watching. He was cutting up, there's no way that the crowd can't sit down. There's no way that the crowd can't sit down. He was sitting there working, and he was like, yeah, this is going to be for N-Tyce. It's going to be dope.
I mean, yeah, like, they pretty much did the shows. Like, this is what you're going to do. Like, I was just a rapper. Like, and I can remember Dana, when I used to go there, he taught me how to rap on beat, because I had a lot of songs and a lot of raps, and he'd play a beat, and I'd be all off beat, like they are nowadays.
Like they are nowadays.
Like, I got no style, but I promise you, I could rap on beat, and they taught me how to flow. And then when I I couldn't wait to go over there to flow.
Right, we talked about that, how the grooming is gone because people they record, like some of these people's first work is out for the public immediately.
Yeah, I was the same way though. Without Dana, I probably would still be like the female rapper out there now that can't rhyme on beat. But it's kind of cool now. But back then, you had to be on beat. Nobody was doing it.
Right. And that's just a product. Everybody who raps off beat, eventually they end up on the beat. You give them time. It's just that back in the day, we didn't hear those first 2 or 3 songs. Mm-hmm. They didn't get released until they got on the beat. Mm. Now you record it and you put it out immediately. And if it jumps off and your performance isn't polished yet,
right,
too late. You're out there.
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, things have changed. But man, we appreciate your polish. You've been a polished MC for a long time, and
and thank you guys. I appreciate what you all are doing. Podcasts are the new it, and keep hip hop alive, especially in North Carolina. So, and all over, being able to tell our story, that's huge. So,
right. Yep, that's exactly why we do it. Yep, because you deserve your flowers.
Absolutely.
Deserve it.
Yep, and if, I want to put something together to properly recognize the true founding fathers and mothers of our hip hop situation here. And
we only got a month and a half for the 50th run out, but yeah, it'd be wonderful.
I know. Time is flying, but whenever it gets done, it'll be overdue.
Right.
You know? And
Definitely.
yep, you're another person. Like I said, this conversation has come up before, and I think it's a shame. You know, it's a shame that nobody has done anything to properly give you guys the respect you deserve.
But you know, when you do this, you don't do it for that. You know, at least I don't. So it doesn't bother me. But you know, it doesn't change the fact that it hadn't happened.
Right, and you don't start off expecting that it'll come to this point, but this is where we are now.
Right.
And you know, bottom line is you deserve it. You know? So
Yeah, I'm just grateful North Carolina got put on the map, and people now recognize the talent that we have. And I still feel like one day our crew, like Mark Sparks, I mean, huge producer. Like I still feel like one day our original crew, I mean, like, you know, we had a lot of good artists. Dizzy and D-Mac. Man, I used to love D-Mac. Hot lyricist from the little small dot on the map. I'll never forget that. But, you know, we just have so much talent. Man, I still feel like we can be the empire for the future of North Carolinians in this game together, because it's so much talent, you know. But everybody is so busy doing their own thing that it would have to take a huge force to make that happen. But I still have faith, and we'll see.
well, I'm rooting for all that to happen.
Right.
And whenever it does, I want to be a part of it somehow.
Absolutely.
Of course you would.
Absolutely. I absolutely want to be a part of that. So, hey, we appreciate you spending this time with us. And, yeah, I can't thank you enough.
That went by fast.
It went by fast, but we've actually been going at it for a while now.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. Keep doing what y'all do. And, you know, it's been fun.
Yes.
Indeed. And lastly, you want to shout out anybody before you go?
I just want to give a shout out to everybody out there that creates positivity and feeds off of that type of energy and inspiration. Keep doing what you do, because we need more of y'all out there.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the one, the only legendary N-Tyce.
Yeah. That was a dope one.
Yeah. Put some respect on her name. If you don't know, look this stuff up. She gave you the name of her latest album. Go listen to that. Get some positive energy in your life. And also look up the catalog. The Hush Hush Tip videos on YouTube if you need a reference point to see what we're talking about or hear the music. All that's available on YouTube. You can find a new album on all the platforms. So with that being said, it's the Capital City Podcast. I'm your host, Capital J, alongside my main man,
DL Glass.
and you can listen to the Capital City Podcast on all platforms as well, anywhere you consume your podcast materials.
Anywhere. Talk to Alexa. Tell her. Play the new episode of the Capital City Podcast.
Boom. There it is.